Eric Margolis, a very warm welcome to the program. So do you share this idea that if there hadn't been intervention in Libya, the turmoil in Mali could have been avoided?
Well, I wouldn't say that, because we can't say absolutely. The Tuareg uprising, the demand for a Tuareg state, has been going on for decades. The Tuareg are the nomadic people. They're like the Kurds of Africa. They're a stateless people spread across a number of nations who are causing great unrest in the area. But certainly the French and U.S.-led overthrow of the Gaddafi regime in Libya played a very important role in mobilizing these Tuareg and sending them south very heavily armed.
François Hollande's first act as president was to accelerate the withdrawal of French troops from Afghanistan. And now France is leading a military operation in an African nation. So can this be considered a deviation from his foreign policy agenda?
Well, his critics are certainly saying that. I mean, Hollande announced just recently that there would be no intervention in Africa. In the old days of when the French used to go in and overthrow governments overnight in Africa, governments that didn't follow French policy, he said those days are gone. Well, obviously they're not, because French forces are in action. And his critics are saying, well, you know, he's trying to distract attention from France's growingly severe economic crisis.
We understand the armed operation in Mali is a risky one for France, as militants have promised a long war. So what's in it for Paris then?
Not much. I don't understand why the French are doing this. I think, having covered many wars myself, that it's a serious mistake. If there was any problem to be solved in Mali, it should have been done by a group of West African nations, but who have proven themselves incapable of doing anything. The French intervention raises memories of colonialism, which are not very old. Remember, France really ruled this entire region. Even after giving it independence, the French still ran it from behind the scenes. It was called France-Afrique. And a lot of West Africans still resent this. And the problem is that what's happening in Mali now is going to spread to unstable Chad, where there's an uprising going on, Central African Republic, Ivory Coast, even to Nigeria. So one has to be very careful here. This is a dangerous operation. What it's doing, it's like dropping an explosive in the middle of a fire, and it's spreading the fire rather than putting it out.
Right, and especially as France has already acknowledged that the militants turned out to be better equipped and armed than they had initially expected. Just how long do you think French troops will be stuck in Mali?
President Hollande said that it's going to be to a couple of weeks. But a French thinker, I think it was de la Rochefoucauld, said there's nothing as permanent as the temporary. So, you know, if Afghanistan is any example, the French could be back there for a long time.
Britain and the US have ruled placing boots on the ground in Mali as well. Previously, we heard similar assurances from France too. But if France gets bogged down in the conflict, how likely are we to see a fully fledged intervention by NATO powers?
It is possible. There are reports that American special forces are already operating in northern Mali and some other parts in the region. So NATO could get drawn in. You know, NATO doesn't want to do this particularly. At least some of the right-wing governments in NATO, like Denmark, are very eager for this action. Canada, too, has said that it may send troops to Mali. But overall, this is the last thing the cash-strapped, economically stressed NATO needs, is a pointless war in Africa with no apparent outcome.
All right, journalist Eric Margolis. Eric, thank you very much indeed for your time.
Welcome.